Hey gang, Bill and Ken again with the Gun Guys episode. Welcome folks to the great state of Idaho. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about some questions that have come in thanks to the comment phase of the YouTube channel. And we've got a few of them. I've got some for Bill. Bill's got some for me, and we'll do our best to give you a candid answer to the questions. So, hey, how about me leading off first, Bill?
Yep, works good.
All right, first one's from 45 Shooter 2. Of all the custom guns by other makers you have owned, what is your personal favorite?
Well, I mean, the two that I like the best are Swenson's and the old original Packmeyers. Yeah. But I would have to say, you know, if I had to pick one, it's going to be Swenson. And that's primarily because, you know, my relationship with Armand. You know, he was nice enough to invite me to his home and, you know, went up there and spent some time with him. It was in the early days when I was getting into, you know, plumbing on 1911s, and he, you know, gave me a few tips. And I mean, what a super nice gentleman. I mean.
And he was a bit of a character.
He was a bit of a character, you know, former boxer.
Yeah.
Back in that era, I mean, he was the man.
The man, yeah.
And, you know. So I would have to say Swenson Custom.
Good choice.
Got one for you here, Ken. See, it's Larry Futter, and he wants to know your opinion of Kydex holsters versus leather holsters.
Well, I have a pretty simple approach to that. Kydex for plastic guns, leather for steel guns or metal frame guns. They both have a place. Kydex is dramatically popular, probably sells better than leather does now. But for like a 1911 or say a Smith & Wesson or Colt revolver, any classic metal frame gun, I prefer a leather holster. But man, I've got a bunch of plastic, and I have to admit during probably the last decade I was in the training business, I was primarily using the Glock and I was using a Kydex holster. So it's kind of pick what suits you. They both have pluses. The Kydex is loud. It tears up the finish on your guns. Now, some of the new injection molded holsters have a different material that doesn't really do that. I would say my personal choice would be leather. You know, I'm a big leather guy, and like, for example, I've got a lot of milled spark stuff for my guns, and that's what I normally wear and carry as a leather holster. So I lean towards leather, but Kydex has its place.
Well, I tend to agree with you. You know, metal frame guns in leather and polymer guns in Kydex or injection molded holsters, you know.
Yeah, and
but there is a big advantage to the Kydex over leather. It's typically really lightweight compared to a lot of leather holsters. So that is a plus.
And it can be pretty fast to draw from. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing, the Kydex market has exploded, or what we call polymer holsters. Mm-hmm. There's a tremendous amount of makers. And there's more quality leather holster makers today than ever was in history.
Oh, yeah.
So the buyers really benefit from that. So leather number one, but Kydex is okay.
Yep, I agree.
All right, Bill, here's one from Dark One. What is your favorite carry ammo?
Well, I mean, since our recent acquisition of Lehigh Defense at the first of the year, I mean, obviously, you know, I've become more of a Lehigh Defense product
fan. I noticed that's what you're carrying now.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I primarily carry a 9mm, and so, you know, the Lehigh Defense 90 grain Extreme Defense load that's my daily carry load.
Cool.
Pastor Doggy, how do you train people to shoot from retention position?
Well, without getting into a major description, retention is designed theoretically so that you don't want to project the gun out at close distance where somebody can grab it or deflect it. So you're going to hold it in close. I teach to take the elbow and anchor it against the torso. Basically, that's it. If they're real close, you may have to actually anchor the wrist. Trouble with an auto pistol, you got to be careful where that slide cycles as far as interfering with the function. But anchor your forearm or elbow to the torso so it's always the same place. And here's the real key. Either get your head directly behind the gun or anchor so the gun is right and directly in front of your head. Because your head in a gun is your turret effect. Mm-hmm. And most people will do this, but they keep their head here so that you're going to miss almost all the time. Mm-hmm. Get your head directly in line with the gun and your hit capacity will go way up. So anchor the forearm or the elbow, and I pick a place and I don't alter it, because every time you change it, point of impact changes dramatically. And you know what? You got to practice it.
Yeah, and you got to realize it's basically a 5 yard and less.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, probably 3 yards and less for, you know, people practice can get good out to 5 or 6 yards, but for the most part, it's a 3 to 4 yard max.
Boy, yeah, I mean, you're great at point shooting.
I've practiced
mean,
a little bit.
you know, you're pretty good at 7 yards with that. So,
yeah, on a good day, maybe 10, but the bottom line is that's it. Anchor the forearm or elbow, always the same place. I use the edge of the rib cage, and get your head and gun in line. So that's my theory. Okay, we got one here from 20 KJ Square Double Aught. How is Wilson Combat maintaining the quality they are known for while going through massive expansion that we've all seen as of late? And that's a good question.
yeah, well, actually, the expansion has made it easier for us to maintain, and even we've been increasing the quality, because most of the expansion that we've done, Ken, has been bringing out stuff we were outsourcing in-house to where we're producing it in-house. And so anytime you bring something that you've been relying on an outside supplier for, and you do it in-house, you have more control over the whole process.
Yeah.
And so anytime you can have more control over the process, obviously you can control the quality, you know, better. And we also learn things, you know, when you start making it in-house. Well, you know, we can slightly change a dimension here or there, the design slightly, and make a better product or make it, you know, more efficiently. So the numbers have went up on actually the gun builds side of it too, you know, because now we have more components to work with. We got a real good crew there. We got some of the best pistol smiths in the world working for us. So, and as you get new guys coming in, the old guys, you know, bring them up in training and all that. So, you know, I think we're building some of the best guns today that we've ever built.
You know, when I was down there and we did the tour of a year or so ago of the new manufacturing part, the new shop, it's pretty amazing. I mean, for an outsider, and I think most people don't appreciate, from an era where guns had to be dimensionally, they had to be fitted because they couldn't make the parts that close. What CNC brings to the table now is awesome. And so you end up with components sometimes, for the most part, that are more precise than we ever had in history. And ultimately that means that you end up with a real good product.
Well, and you can have stuff now that you couldn't have had 20 years ago. You know, for an example is our extractors are different than, as far as I know, everybody else is on the market. Because typically, you know, like a 1911 extractor, you machine it out, and then when you go to fit it, you bend it to give it extractor tension. You know, that's the way it's always been done in the old days.
Yeah.
And we make ours on an 11-axis Swiss screw machine, and we machine it with the curve, you know, with the bend already in it. And so now, after it's been heat treated and everything, that's its natural state. Because the trouble with you have a straight one, and you heat treat it and then you bend it, it always wants to go back to its natural state of being straight. You know, but if you machine the curve already in there, that's its natural state. And after it's heat treated that way, that's where it wants to be, you know.
Yep.
And so it makes a much better extractor.
Cool.
Let's see, which one we got now? Yeah, Bat Cave Oz. Oh yeah, this is a perfect one for you. Is the M1 carbine a viable option for home defense? I mean, you just had your carbines out yesterday and we're playing with them. Yep.
One of my home defense guns.
Yep.
This is the DCM carbine that I got through the NRA back in the 60s, my $20 carbine. And I've always been a carbine fan. And you can see I've kind of updated it. I've got a aim point micro on it, which means old guys can see now. This thing you can turn on and leave on for 5 years, so you don't have to worry about as the batteries are dead. I did do like a lot of the GIs did. I got a pouch for a couple spare magazines, so I grabbed the gun. I got a 15-round magazine in it and 2 more 15 rounds. And by the way, the 15-round magazines I found to be far more reliable than the 30-round banana clips. I think it's a great weapon. I really do. You like them, I like them. As we were discussing the other day, a lot of good choices in ammo. Your Lehigh bullet design in a 30 carbine cartridge, I think would be the absolute heat for an M1 carbine.
Yeah, it's a a derivative of our extreme defense, design, just updated for for a rifle.
Yeah. Not only do I like it for younger people, smaller stature people, women, whatever. These are easy guns to shoot and shoot well. As a matter of fact, I don't know. I can hardly ever imagine I've ever let somebody shoot a carbine for the first time that when they hand the gun back, they got a smile on their face.
Oh yeah, they're fun. It's a fun gun to shoot.
Oh, it's a great little gun.
Yeah.
So my answer is yes, it's a good choice. And understand that the magazines from day one were considered disposable.
Yeah.
So, and there's still plenty of them out there to be had. And actually, the new Korean imports, are just fine. They're just as good, probably maybe a little better than the old original World War II magazines. Matter of fact, that's what this is. So, bottom line, M1 carbine for home defense. Yep.
Well, and you mentioned yesterday too. I mean, during WW2, more carbines were manufactured than any other battle rifle.
Over 6 million, more than any other small arm in the U.S. inventory. And interesting, people don't get it. This was designed to replace the handgun. Mm-hmm. And once you shoot it and use it, most people are, let's be honest, not very competent with handguns. But man, these are pretty easy to shoot well.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Okay, I got one for you, Bill. The next one this is from Ricky. Will your ultralight arms purchase result in the perfect scout rifle?
Absolutely not, because there is no such thing as a perfect scout rifle. It's what a dumb idea, dumb concept.
Richard Mann is quivering.
No,
right
he's
now.
not either. He has come around. He
that?
is real. He's trying to figure out how to back out from being Mr. Scout Rifle, because he's realized, you take a regular lightweight bolt gun and you put like that 1-4 Steiner we were playing with yesterday with a 110-foot field of view on 1X. It's a true 1X. You shoot both eyes open.
That's you cool.
Think about it. You throw that up, and we were playing with them out there and on your range yesterday, and at 1X, at 4 yards, you can get a complete 6-foot person in your field of view.
Oh, that's cool.
And you got a scout scope. You put a 2.5 power scout scope there. The way they herald, and it's like you're looking through a straw down there, trying to find what you're going to shoot at. I mean, there's no practical rationale for a scout rifle.
Well, back when I was, one of the gun sight instructors, and Cooper came up with the concept. He, of course, was sold on it. And I remember I thought, well, I got to try this, and I got one. And what I discovered is when you mount the scope out, if your cheek weld isn't perfect every time, the parallax is hideous. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can hit well at close range. At 100 yards, you can miss real easy simply because your head's not in the right position and parallax. I remember pointing it out to Jeff, and of course, Jeff did what he's really good at. When you told him something he didn't want to hear, he would stare off to the horizon, and you could just see him mentally push the delete button on you. But yeah, the scout rifle thing, I always tell people it has its place, but I'm with you. If you took the scout rifle concept and mount the scope back on the action, over the action, it's a lot better package.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've got so many good 1-4, 1-6, scopes now that for a battle type rifle, it's something you're gonna, be shooting at CQB range. There's just nothing better than a good high quality, 1-4 like a Trijicon AccuPoint or like that Steiner we're playing with, yesterday. I mean, there's just not a better choice for an all around, because at 1X you can shoot it, 5 yards, crank it up to 4, and you get hits on a man-sized target at 500 yards with it.
As you've seen with my guns, I used to be a big red dot aim point guy. I still think they're great. Problem is, along about age 50, sometimes earlier, people often develop something called astigmatism. So my dot looks like a cluster of grapes now. Mm-hmm. And I kind of figured, this is, which grape do I use as my aiming point? So I've kind of moved away from them. Almost all my guns now have variables, low power, 1-4s, 1-5s, 1-6s, whatever. And plus, if you look where I live, when I lived back east, a 100-yard shot was a long shot, and based upon the vegetation terrain. Well, I live in the mountains now, and you could have a shot from 25 yards to 600 yards real quick. So the variable scope is what's on most of my guns now. If they could figure out how to fix the stigmatism, whether most people have got a lightning bolt or, it's not a dot anymore. And when that happens, you start to realize I can't shoot this gun as precisely at distance as I would like. So yeah, I think you're one of the four things. And interesting, and by the way, Richard Mann's in West Virginia, and of course, Melvin Forbes was a West Virginia guy, so I think there's some loyalty there. He'll probably jump on board the Wilson combat team to help support.
Oh yeah, Melvin and Richard are real good friends.
Yeah, good dudes.
Justin Short, he asks, what are the most useful drills to develop speed for a shooter who is already shooting accurately? Well, that's not so the guy's already accurate, because it's usually the other way around. Yeah. Somebody's trying to figure out how to get accurate, because they shoot too fast.
Well, and we live in a world today, everybody wants to shoot faster. That's the new, what cool kids want to do. Never, ever compromise accuracy for speed. That is, like I say, everybody says speed and accuracy. It should be accuracy with speed. Now, if you want to practice to get a little quicker, say you're an accurate shooter, but you find that you're pretty deliberate and slow, and you say, okay, I do want to pick up the speed. And a lot of people say to me, well, Hackathorn, you're an old geezer. Yes, I am. And I'll say, well, you're an old boomer. Yeah, I was born in 1946. I'm a first-year boomer. And some people say, well, you're a FUD. Actually, I'm not a FUD. But you can say, well, you're contrarian, you're, blunt, and, just ask my wife. She can give you a whole list of things that I am. But the bottom line is, if you want some drills to pick up your speed, I'll tell you one of the simple ones this guy developed is called the build drill. Just practice that drill. And don't give up accuracy. Put yourself, Bill and I both agreed that the scoring rings you want smaller targets. You do not want to give up accuracy. That 8-inch circle on an IDPA target, go down to 7. And when you're good at that, maybe go down to 6. But build drill is a great one as far as learning to speed. And say you start and you say, well, to get them all in the A zone or all in the down 0 zone, I can only do it in 4 seconds. Well, that gives you a means to start pacing yourself to pick up your speed. Sometimes you have to give up a little accuracy to get faster, but then you need to dial back and get the accuracy back. Never give it away. Now, we're going to do a couple of range drills today that'll be on the Masterclass series, both of them. One of them is the Vickers Devil drill, and the other we're going to do is the old Bakersfield PD Qual. And the first 2 stages, it's only a 10-round drill. The first 2 stages are about being quick.
Oh yeah.
And so watch those when they show up on the Wilson YouTube channel. But the base part, one of the best ones is a build drill. 6 shots at 7 yards, and keep them all in your A zone or all in your down 0 zone. And if you can get them from a real holster, the way you really carry a gun, you can get to the point where you can do it all in around 3 to 3.5 seconds. That's pretty darn good. Yeah. I hear people tell me, well, I do it in 2.3 or whatever, but a lot of times we're looking at real gamey guns and gamey ammo and gamey rigs. It doesn't really reflect the real world gun. So build drill is a good one. I recommend that one.
That one originally did the build drill. We were using it for a training thing, Robbie and Brian Enos and I. Your score didn't even count if you dropped a point.
Yep.
So the whole focus was accuracy first, and then speed, because you didn't get a score if you got one out.
And the way I teach it, back when I used that in my training business, when I was doing the training, I would do build drills in class. Here's the deal. Every point you drop added a second to your time. And dude, that could be pretty brutal real fast. So
very fast.
Anyway, build drill, give it a try. All right, the next one. If you could be the custom gun builder at another company, who would be your choice? This is Jonathan Jackson. Who would be your choice if you're going to be a custom gun builder at another company? Where would you want to work?
Well, Ken, you've known me long enough to know that I couldn't work for anybody else. They'd fire me before
they'd fire you in the first day.
For the first, I wouldn't get through the first day.
Yeah.
So I couldn't. I've always worked for myself, and I could never work for somebody else. We've got some of the best gunsmiths in the world working at Wilson Combat. I mean, and I think we build some of the very best guns available from anybody. So why would I want to not do what I'm doing now?
It might be interesting to see those guys out in the shop if you were hired, see how quick it took them to put you out the door.
Yeah.
Anyway, good. All right, what's the next one from he?
Yeah, Fuzzy Peach asks if you could bring back any specific make and model of firearm that is no longer in production today, what would it be and why?
Oh, Smith & Wesson registered Magnum.
Oh, that's your favorite.
Yeah,
absolutely, that's your favorite.
Yeah, the guns were the Smith & Wesson introduced the 357 Magnum cartridge in 1935, and the gun they brought out was an in-frame that was called the registered Magnum. It was basically made to your specs, built by the best pistol smith at Smith & Wesson. Remember, height of the Depressions.
It was Smith & Wesson's answer to the Colt Shooting Master.
Colt Shooting Master, exactly. And by the way, at the time, it was the most expensive handgun in America. $60 retail, which is a lot of money in a Depression. The guns were spectacular. I mean, you could literally order, for example, barrel anything from 8 3/4 to 3.5 by 1/4 inch increments. And I've got a couple of them. I know I conned you into buying one.
Yeah.
I think you even have to admit they're pretty nice guns.
Oh yeah, very, very nice.
So now they will never, because those are guns built in an era where craftsmen hand fitted everything, just like your shooting masters. Those days will never repair. But if it could,
Yeah.
I would say bring back the registered Magnum. I already got it. I know what barrel length, what sight, configure exactly what I would get. But it'd be a Smith & Wesson pre-war registered 357 Magnum. All right, for you, Bill, we've got Ferris Bueller. Larry Vickers must be listening. Do you think the 1911 is a good platform for the 10 millimeter auto cartridge?
Ken, I'm not sure any semi-auto make and model of gun is a good platform for a 10 millimeter cartridge. I mean, the cartridge is just so inherently hard to get to function, and such a high pressure round that beats the guns up so bad. I'm not a big 10 millimeter fan, and as you know, somebody that builds guns, they're just so problematic. Yeah, I mean, we still build some of them, and you know, you send 100 9mm or 45s out the door that never come back with any issue. And, you know, for every 5, 10 millimeters you send out, one of those is going to come back with some either, you know, education or some adjustment or whatever to try to get it, to, you know, because the ammo is a key to it. I mean, if you find something that's going to function in your gun, you need to stick with that load.
Yeah, and if Ferris Bueller was to ask me this question, is the 1911 a good platform for the 10 millimeter auto cartridge? My answer is no.
Yeah.
I've never found any 10 millimeter pistol, and I like the cartridge. I've never had one that is reliable enough that I trust it, because the guns work so fast that the magazine can't get the rounds up fast enough, and you'll get bullet over base malfunctions. And the 1911s are famous for it. A lot of guys will try to put heavier recoil spring, thinking that'll fix it. Actually makes it worse, because now the slide's coming forward faster than it ever was. So the cartridge is a long cartridge with no taper, with a short bullet nose, ballistically great, very accurate pistol cartridge. But man, I just have not run into a gun. One of my buddies out here just picked up one of the new SIG 320 10 millimeters, and everybody's like, this is going to be the gun. Well, he's not real happy with how well it feeds. So, hey gang, hope you enjoyed these. We got some more we'll come back and visit, but we're trying to see if we can give you some answers to some of your questions. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you got your questions or comments, don't be shy about putting those things on the comment part of the Wilson Combat YouTube channel videos, and stay safe, and we'll see you the next time.